Far beneath the restless surface of the ocean, where sunlight fades into a cold blue silence, something is watching. Not with eyes that blink like ours, but with pupils that read the world in ways we are only beginning to understand. It waits, motionless. A ripple of sand, a flicker of color, and then it disappears. Not by swimming away, but by becoming something else entirely. For centuries, we believed intelligence belonged to creatures like us, animals with backbones, structured brains, and predictable behaviors. But hidden in the shifting shadows of coral reefs and deep ocean floors, lives a mind that challenges everything we thought we knew. The octopus. In the shallow reefs of tropical oceans, where light fractures into shimmering patterns, the octopus moves like liquid thought. Its body has no rigid structure, no bones, no limits. It can squeeze through gaps no larger than its height, flow into impossible spaces, and vanish into environments that seem to swallow it whole. But what makes the octopus truly extraordinary is not just how it moves, it's how it thinks. Unlike most animals on Earth, the octopus does not centralize its intelligence. Nearly 2/3 of its neurons are not in its brain, but spread throughout its arms. Each arm, capable of sensing, tasting, and even making decisions on its own. Imagine if your hands could think independently, if each finger explored the world with its own awareness. This is not just biology. It is something closer to a distributed mind. For a long time, scientists underestimated this creature. They saw it as a simple invertebrate, driven by instinct rather than intelligence. But then, experiments began to reveal something unexpected. In controlled environments, octopuses were presented with puzzles. Locked jars containing food. Complex mazes. Objects requiring manipulation. At first, they hesitated. They learned. An octopus could unscrew a jar from the inside, a task requiring not just strength, but understanding of rotation and sequence. Some individuals learned to navigate mazes faster with each attempt, remembering the correct path as if mapping it internally. And more astonishingly, they didn't just solve problems. They improved. In one study, researchers observed octopuses escaping their enclosures at night, only to return before morning, leaving no trace behind. They memorized the layout of their environment, identified weaknesses, executed precise escapes, and then concealed the evidence. This is not random behavior. This is planning. But intelligence in the ocean often looks different from intelligence on land. There are no tools passed down through generations. No social structures teaching survival. The octopus lives alone. No parents guiding its development. No community shaping its learning. And yet, it adapts. It invents. One of the most fascinating discoveries came from observing octopuses using tools. In the coastal waters of Indonesia, scientists documented veined octopuses collecting discarded coconut shells. At first glance, it seemed meaningless. But then, the behavior repeated. Again and again. The octopus would carry the shells across the ocean floor, sometimes awkwardly, exposing itself to predators. Why take such a risk? Because those shells were not debris. They were shelter. When threatened, the octopus would assemble the shells around its body, forming a protective enclosure. A portable home. A tool carried for future use. This is not instinct. This is foresight. And then there is camouflage. Perhaps the most iconic ability of the octopus. But what we once thought was simple color change is something far more complex. Beneath its skin lies a network of specialized cells, chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores, working together to manipulate light itself. In milliseconds, the octopus can transform its color, pattern, and even texture. It can mimic coral, algae, rocks, even the movement of other animals. But this is not just disguise. It is interpretation. The octopus sees its surroundings, analyzes them, and recreates them across its own body. A living projection of its environment. Almost like the ocean thinking through skin. What makes this even more mysterious is how it achieves such precision. Because the octopus is colorblind. It cannot see the vibrant hues it produces. And yet, it matches them perfectly. Some scientists believe its skin itself may see light, responding directly to wavelengths in the environment. Others suggest a deeper neural processing system, one that interprets contrast, texture, and brightness instead of color. But no theory fully explains it. It remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of animal biology. The octopus does not just hide. It performs. In some species, like the mimic octopus, the illusion goes even further. It doesn't just resemble objects. It imitates other animals. Venomous lionfish, deadly sea snakes, flatfish gliding across the seabed. Each transformation is deliberate, chosen based on the threat it faces. Predator approaching? Becomes something more dangerous. Hunting prey? Becomes something harmless. This is not reflex. This is strategy. And yet, for all its intelligence, the octopus lives a life defined by brevity. Most species survive only 1 to 2 years. A short existence, filled with rapid growth, intense learning, and a single reproductive event. After mating, something strange happens. The body begins to shut down. The brain itself triggers a cascade of self-destruction. The octopus stops eating, becomes disoriented, and eventually dies. Why would such an intelligent creature be designed for such a fleeting life? This question has puzzled scientists for decades. But recent research has uncovered a possible answer, hidden deep within its biology. A small gland, known as the optic gland, appears to control this final phase. When activated, it releases hormones that initiate aging and death. In experiments where this gland was removed, octopuses did not follow their usual fate. They continued to live, to eat, to behave normally, as if the countdown had been paused. This suggests something extraordinary, that the octopus is not simply dying. It is being programmed to die. Why would evolution create such a system? Some theories suggest it prevents overpopulation, avoiding competition between generations. Others propose it ensures the young can survive without being eaten by adults. But there is no definitive answer. Only a growing sense that the octopus operates under rules very different from our own. And perhaps that is what makes it so fascinating. Because the octopus does not just challenge our understanding of intelligence. It challenges our understanding of life itself. Its brain is unlike ours. Its body defies structure. Its behaviors blur the line between instinct and thought. It is alien, not in the sense of coming from another world, but in the sense of representing a completely different path of evolution, a separate experiment unfolding beneath the waves. As we continue to study the octopus, new questions emerge. Can it feel emotions? Does it experience curiosity, fear, even boredom? Some researchers believe so. In captivity, octopuses have been observed recognizing individual humans, reacting differently to familiar and unfamiliar faces. Some play, some explore, some even seem to exhibit personality. Aggressive, curious, traits we once believed belonged only to higher mammals. And yet, we are only beginning to understand. Because studying the octopus is like trying to decode a mind that evolved in isolation. A mind that does not follow our rules. A mind that may be thinking in ways we cannot yet comprehend. But the deeper we look, the more unsettling the realization becomes. What if intelligence is not rare? What if it does not require a large brain, or a social structure, or even a long lifespan? What if it can emerge in forms we have simply overlooked, hidden in plain sight, camouflaged just like the octopus itself? And if that is true, then the ocean may not just be home to strange creatures. It may be home to minds, unfamiliar, unseen, and far more complex than we ever imagined. If intelligence can evolve in silence, in solitude, in bodies so unlike our own, then the octopus is not just an animal. It is a question. In the dim blue corridors of the ocean, where pressure builds and light fades into darkness, the octopus continues its quiet existence. But the more closely scientists observe, the more it begins to reveal behaviors that feel almost unsettlingly familiar. Not just problem-solving, not just adaptation, but something closer to awareness. In research laboratories around the world, octopuses have demonstrated a capacity for recognition, not of objects, but of individuals. In one experiment, two researchers interacted with the same octopus over several days. One fed it regularly, the other did not. Over time, the octopus began to respond differently, reaching eagerly toward the feeder, and retreating, sometimes even spraying water, at the other. This was not random behavior. This was memory, discrimination, preference. But it goes even deeper. Some octopuses have been observed engaging in what can only be described as play. They push objects repeatedly, like bottles or floating toys, only to retrieve them and repeat the action. Not for food, not for survival, but seemingly for stimulation. Play is rare in the animal kingdom, and when it appears, it is often associated with intelligence, with curiosity, with minds that are exploring their environment, not just reacting to it. Yet perhaps the most extraordinary insight into the octopus mind comes from its ability to escape. Time and time again, octopuses have defied containment, sliding through tiny gaps, lifting lids, manipulating latches. In one famous case, an octopus in an aquarium learned the schedule of the facility. Waiting until the lights dimmed at night, it would leave its tank, crawl across the floor, enter a neighboring tank, feed, and then return to its own enclosure before morning. No disturbance, no evidence, only missing prey. This is not instinct. This is timing, planning, execution. But what makes this even more astonishing is how the octopus perceives the world. Because its intelligence is not centralized like ours. Each arm contains thousands of neurons, capable of processing sensory information independently. When an octopus explores an object, it is not just touching it. It is tasting it, feeling its texture, analyzing its shape, all at once. Each arm contributes to a collective understanding, a shared awareness distributed across the body. It is as if the octopus does not think about the world. It thinks through it. And this raises a profound question. If intelligence is spread across the body, where does consciousness reside? Is there a single self within the octopus? Or is it something more fluid, more decentralized? A network, rather than a center. Some scientists believe this unique structure allows the octopus to process information faster in certain contexts, to react instantly without waiting for signals to travel back to a central brain. But it may also mean that its experience of the world is fundamentally different from ours. More tactile, more immediate, more fragmented. And yet, despite this alien architecture, the octopus demonstrates behaviors we recognize. Learning, memory, adaptation, even what appears to be personality. In controlled environments, individual octopuses behave differently when faced with the same challenge. Some approach cautiously, testing and probing. Others act boldly, interacting immediately. Some persist through repeated failure. Others abandon the task entirely. These are not just variations in instinct. They are differences in approach, in strategy, in temperament, and perhaps most intriguingly, octopuses seem capable of short-term learning that rivals some vertebrates. They can observe patterns, associate actions with outcomes, and adjust their behavior accordingly. In one study, octopuses were trained to choose between two visual symbols, one associated with food, the other with nothing. Over time, they learned to consistently select the correct symbol, demonstrating not just recognition, but decision-making. But unlike mammals, the octopus does not pass this knowledge on. There is no teaching, no social learning. Each individual must discover the world anew, solve the same problems, make the same mistakes. And yet, they succeed, again and again. This suggests something remarkable. That intelligence in the octopus is not dependent on culture or communication. It is built directly into the individual, encoded in a way that allows rapid learning within a very short lifespan. And that lifespan remains one of the most haunting aspects of its existence. Because just as the octopus reaches the peak of its cognitive ability, it begins to decline. After reproduction, the body undergoes a dramatic transformation. The once agile hunter becomes slow, disoriented, withdrawn. In some species, females guard their eggs with unwavering dedication, refusing to eat until they die, starving not out of necessity, but as if compelled by something deeper, a biological command impossible to ignore. This raises a chilling possibility that the octopus is not simply living and dying, but following a predetermined script, a life cycle so rigid that even its intelligence cannot escape it. And yet, there are hints that this script can be altered. In laboratory conditions, when the optic gland is removed, the usual pattern breaks. The octopus does not enter its final decline. It continues to eat, to explore, to behave as if time itself has been extended. What might an octopus become if it lived longer? Would its intelligence deepen? Would it develop new behaviors, new capabilities, perhaps even new forms of interaction? We do not know, because in the wild, this experiment never happens. And so, the octopus remains a fleeting genius, a mind that burns brightly and then disappears. But its impact on science is growing. As researchers continue to study cephalopods, they are beginning to challenge long-held assumptions about intelligence. That it requires a backbone, a long lifespan, a social structure. The octopus proves otherwise. It suggests that intelligence is not a single path, but many. That evolution can produce minds in unexpected places, using entirely different designs. That cognition itself may be more common, more diverse than we ever imagined. And this has implications far beyond the ocean. Because if intelligence can arise independently in such a radically different form, then perhaps it can emerge elsewhere as well. In environments we have not yet explored. In organisms we have not yet understood. Even beyond Earth. But for now, the octopus remains our closest example.